Hey, my name is John and I'm creative director with Verve. So I went to college in Limerick. I studied fine art. I actually thought I wanted to study fashion when I went to college. It took me a long time to figure out what I was good at. It probably wasn't painting and fine art. I just sort of fell into graphics and then fell into art direction. So it was kind of a long process to figure out what I wanted to do. But I think a lot of people in the industry sort of end up falling into creative direction and art direction from other avenues. That's what makes the industry interesting. You never know where people end up coming from. So when I left college in Limerick after studying fine art, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I moved to London for a couple of years. I worked lots of crappy jobs in an art store, in restaurants. I moved to France for a while and I eventually ended up back in Dublin. I worked in some crappy office jobs, which I was not very good at, and eventually sort of fell into graphics. And then I got a couple of lucky breaks. My first job was with a really lovely small design agency, which was run by two sisters, and they gave me a lot of opportunities. And through that job, I ended up working with Verve, and I've been here a long time, about 12 years. We've been really lucky in Verve to work on lots of projects that we're proud of. I think one that I really loved working on this year was a project for Coca-Cola called the Melodic Wood. So it was this giant installation of trees. So we made leaves for the trees out of cans, and every leaf that we made was a donation towards charity that plants trees. So the end result was that 400 trees were planted down in Waterford this year. Yeah, that was a lovely one to work on. I really enjoyed that. So if someone asked me what a creative director was, I'd probably say it's someone who helps other creative people collaborate and shepherd them into answering a client brief and arriving at an interesting destination. So I guess creative process when we're given a brief is to kind of start with an insight. So who's the end user? What's going on in their lives, what's driving them, and how can we, in our creative process, kind of fulfill a role for them? Like, what purpose can we serve in what we're doing? And I think that's probably a more interesting place to start, trying to keep it as wide as possible at the beginning of the creative process, and then gradually narrowing down an answer bit by bit. The industry that we're in is all about deadlines, so we're always racing to get things finished. So I think pressure is actually sometimes really good for creativity because it forces you to make decisions, and the best ideas can sometimes come out of pressure. So being busy, I think, is good. If I get a block in creativity, I generally leave it to one side and move on to the next thing and just allow your subconscious to do its thing, and eventually, you know, the solution pops up in your head somewhere along the way. Someone gave me really good advice once to keep your eyes open because you never know where inspiration is going to come from, and I think that was really good advice because just seeing something random in the city can kind of spark an idea or a solution to a creative problem. The most successful creative people I've met are extremely tenacious. They have a very singular vision, but you also have to realize that it's a very collaborative industry, so you need to take on board feedback, and sometimes, you know, you will meet resistance to your ideas, and sometimes that resistance is justified, and it's up to you to kind of figure out when is that resistance justified or when do you need to kind of press ahead with your vision. So I guess it's just about being tenacious with your creativity and making sure that, you know, the end product is something that you're proud of and kind of happy to put your name to. I guess if I was going to offer advice to my younger self, it would be not to be so afraid of everything, to take chances. What's the worst that can happen? Just to be a bit more fearless, I suppose, and take opportunities when they're offered to you.